Hello and welcome to the news on NTA International. I am Dennis Adegunloye. Let's begin with the headlines. Federal government refutes false claims of religious genocide in Nigeria. Polls open in tense Moldova parliamentary vote. Nigerians are overwhelmed over a decline in food prices across the country as markets flood with fresh produce from 2025 harvest season. Nigeria's 65th independence anniversary commences with special prayers. The federal government strongly condemns and categorically refutes recent allegations by certain international platforms and online influencers, suggesting that terrorists operating in Nigeria are engaged in a systematic genocide against Christians. Minister of Information and National Orientation Mohammed Idris, in a statement, says such claims are false, baseless, despicable, and divisive, as portraying Nigeria's security challenges as a targeted campaign against a single religious group is a gross misrepresentation of reality. While Nigeria, like many countries, has faced security challenges, including acts of terrorism perpetrated by criminals, couching the situation as a deliberate, systematic attack on Christians is inaccurate and harmful. It oversimplifies a complex, multifaceted security environment and plays into the hands of terrorists and criminals who seek to divide Nigerians along religious or ethnic lines. The violent activities of terrorist groups are not confined to any particular religion or ethnic community. These criminals target all who reject their murderous ideology, regardless of faith. Muslims, Christians, and even those who do not identify with any religion have suffered at their hands. The minister further said the federal government has remained unwavering in its commitment to completely degrading terrorist groups and securing the lives and property of all citizens. And this resolve is already yielding results. Between May 2023 and February 2025 alone, over 13,500 terrorists and criminals were killed and nearly 10,000 hostages rescued in multiple military operations across the country. Only last month, the top leadership of Jama'atu Ansarul Muslimina fi Biladis Sudan, commonly known as Ansaru, Nigeria's Al-Qaeda affiliate, was captured in a well-coordinated counter-terrorism operation. These feats underscore the determination and success of the security forces and exposes as unfounded the notion that Nigeria is passively tolerating religiously motivated terrorism. The federal government is steadfast in its duty to protect every Nigerian, regardless of ethnicity or religious identity, and continues to work with international partners to address the global threat of terrorism. The Nigerian Armed Forces and police have demonstrated their commitment to accountability by conducting several court-martials and prosecutions to hold their officials accountable for any misconduct. These efforts underscore the importance of discipline and adherence to the rule of law within the security agencies. The federal government has secured enhanced funding commitments from the African Development Bank to operationalize the second phase of the special agro-industrial processing zones. Vice President Kashim Shettima made the request in New York during a bilateral meeting with AFDB's president, Dr. Sidi Ould Tah, on the sidelines of the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jabrilla reports.
The Special Agro-Processing Zone Phase 2 expected to scale up climate-resilient infrastructure and inclusive agro-industrial growth across an additional 24 states, expanding from initial 8 states and the FCT, aimed at diversifying Nigeria's mono-product economy to value-added agricultural exports.
The bank's support for innovation-driven enterprises.
Justifying the country's request, Vice President Kashim Shettima said Nigeria is the largest shareholder in Africa Development Bank, and its portfolio hovers in the neighborhood of $10 billion.
Our dream is to make tomorrow much better than today for our youth. We have no business being in business. The government has no business being in business. Our duty is to create the enabling environment, the infrastructure. The duty of the private sector is to provide the capital, the innovations, and the market linkages. And our youth, who constitute the bulk of our population. It might interest you, Your Excellency, to know that the average age of the Nigerian nation is 16.9. And by 2050, we'll surpass the United States, will be the third most populous nation on earth. So that goes to show the potentials of the Nigerian nation and the need for us to really act very fast.
We need to work with, I am planning to have a series of consultation with banks and the DFIs and guarantee funds to make sure that we will work as a coherent system of financial institution contributing together to delivering on the mandate of the African Development Bank.
AFDB's president assured that under his leadership, the bank will spare no effort to provide Nigeria with the support it deserves in terms of developing its human capital. Earlier, Vice President Kashim Shettima held a bilateral meeting with the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. Terence Drew, where they recommitted to strengthening economic and cultural ties.
Going forward, we should have a robust engagement and understanding. We should stand by each other. We should stand for one another. We should stand on each other's interests.
We think that this kind of communication and easy access to both countries can actually help significantly with the movement of people, which we already have, and can help to further trade between the countries.
He further recalled that President Tinubu was in St. Lucia earlier in the year as part of his broader package of reaching out to Caribbean Africans in the diaspora. The Prime Minister decried the low level of trade and contact between Caribbean countries and Africa, expressed the country's readiness to work closely with Nigeria to boost trade on the African continent. From New York, Abraham Jibrila, NTA News.
Back in Nigeria, activities commemorating the country's 65th independence anniversary have commenced in Abuja with a special prayer for the nation. President Bola Tinubu, represented by the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, reassured citizens of Nigeria's steady move towards desired development, emphasizing the need for collective efforts to achieve a better Nigeria.
Blessed be the time marks the beginning of the interdenominational church service. Nigerians gathered at National Christian Center, Abuja, to celebrate the nation at 65. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, reassured citizens of Nigeria's steady move towards desired development, emphasizing the need for collective efforts towards achieving a better Nigeria.
We shall move hand in hand and not in ruins, but a fortress we shall pass to future generations.
We must always cooperate,
Executive and the National Assembly, for the benefit of our people, for the prosperity of our people, and that is what the National Assembly is doing.
In his message at the service, PFN President Bishop Francis Wole Oke applauded the unity of the nation so far, despite many challenges.
Let the insurgents lay down their arms.
Now we're into building, the president is working hard, everybody's putting us together. Nigerians are understanding that it's not easy, it's difficult for everybody, but that we're all victims and that together we'll succeed.
Prayers were offered for the continued coexistence among Nigerians. In Abuja, Umenka Mrachuku, NTA News.
Moldovans have begun casting their ballots in a pivotal parliamentary election for the non-European Union country, determining whether the country and neighboring Ukraine will turn away from pro-European path and towards Moscow. And Guinea's presidential election set for 28th December. Francis Udojo has details.
Announced in a decree that 28th December would be the date for its first presidential election since the military coup 4 years ago. This follows a controversial referendum on the constitution on 21st September that passed with an 89% score of yes votes, according to official statistics. The referendum also reportedly saw 86% of voters participate, but was boycotted by the opposition, which called it an electoral masquerade and said the results were known in advance. The referendum notably allows General Mamadi Doumbouya, the current leader of the transitional government, to run for president. This is despite Doumbouya promising during his military coup that ousted former President Alpha Condé from power that he would not run in the presidential election ending the transitional period. The presidential term also passed from 5 to 7 years and is renewable once. Francis Udojo, NTA News.
The United Nations has reinstated the arms embargo and other sanctions on Iran over its nuclear program, following a process triggered by European powers that Tehran has warned will be met with harsh responses. Francis Udojo again reports.
Britain, France and Germany have initiated the return of sanctions on Iran at the UN Security Council over accusations it had violated the 2015 deal aimed at stopping it from developing a nuclear bomb, though Iran denies seeking nuclear weapons. The end of the decade-long nuclear deal originally agreed by Iran, Britain, Germany, France, the United States, Russia and China is likely to exacerbate tensions in the Middle East, just months after Israel and the U.S. bombed Iranian nuclear sites. UN sanctions imposed by the Security Council in resolutions adopted between 2006 and 2010 were reinstated at 8 p.m. EDT on Saturday. Attempts to delay the return of all sanctions on Iran failed on the sidelines of the annual gathering of world leaders at the UN this week. We urge Iran and all states to abide fully by these resolutions, the foreign ministers of France, Britain and Germany said in a joint statement after the deadline passed. Francis Udojo, NTA News.
This is the news on NTA International. We'll take a break. More reports in a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back. Nigeria and the United Nations have joined forces to tackle one of the country's most pressing rural development challenges, reliable electricity for refrigeration. Through a groundbreaking initiative, the Rural Electrification Agency and the United Nations Environment Programme have launched an off-grid refrigeration pilot program designed to bridge energy gaps, power vaccine storage, reduce post-harvest losses and secure livelihoods in underserved communities. Justin Ben-Unyi reports.
In many rural communities across Nigeria, crops rot for lack of storage, vaccines lose potency before reaching children, and livelihoods suffer from the absence of reliable power. But that reality may soon change. In Abuja, a bold step has been taken, the launch of the Off-Grid Refrigeration Guidelines pilot, a groundbreaking program to deliver energy-efficient, climate-friendly cold storage to the last mile. This initiative will help farmers preserve meat, milk, fruits and vegetables, protect life-saving vaccines, and unlock opportunities for small businesses while cutting greenhouse gas emissions.
We are helping the Rural Electrification Agency on setting the founding stone on wider set of activities for off-grid refrigeration solutions in Nigeria.
Beyond refrigeration, it promises something even bigger: connecting agriculture, health, and rural enterprise into a single chain of productivity, reducing post-harvest losses, improving food security, and powering economic dignity for millions.
I would personally be involved in the implementation of this, and I want to assure the United Nations Environment Program that we will definitely implement this to the letter.
In addition, here we have today, we have a very, very ambitious plan to eradicate PPR for small ruminants, sheep and goats, by 2030. How are we going to achieve that? This is the solution.
If fully scaled, this could mark the end of needless waste and the start of a new era where every harvest, every vaccine, and every rural dream is kept alive, literally on ice. Justin Bemunyi, NTA News.
In the meantime, Nigerians are reporting a decline in food prices across the country as markets are flooded with fresh produce from the 2025 harvest season. An investigation by NTA reveals that government policies and programs are also contributing to a reduction in food inflation nationwide. Musa Baba Aliu reports.
Markets like this exist across major towns, cities and rural areas in the country. It serves as a platform where farmers and consumers exchange money for produce. Previously, consumers complained about the high cost of produce, particularly staples and vegetables. For instance, between 2023 and 2024, a bag of rice was sold for over 100,000 naira. The price of maize rose above 80,000 naira per bag, and a truckload of cassava reached as high as 800,000 naira.
The difficulty of the farmers now, the way they are facing challenges of fertilizer, that's why the farmers now, they didn't used to sell it in the cheap price, the way that people will enjoy it.
Other food items, including noodles, flour, gari, beef and chicken, also saw their prices skyrocket. This development became a major concern for the government at all levels. One of the major steps taken by President Bola Tinubu was the approval of a waiver on import duties and value-added tax for staple food items in July 2024.
Because of the need also to ensure that particularly fixed salary earners who go to market almost every day do not suffer the challenges of reform, balancing act needs to be taken. But overall, the objective of the government is to support domestic production.
The Ministry of Agriculture also mobilized resources to support farmers across the country for large-scale food production.
That's why in the NAGs we're given 50% subsidy of all inputs and free seeds as well. So that is to cushion the effect on the farmers.
From July 2024, the impact of these initiatives began to be felt nationwide. A survey shows that the prices of major food items have decreased by approximately 50% to 70%, depending on the produce and products. Recent figures released by the National Bureau of Statistics indicate that food inflation eased to 21.87% in August 2025, representing a 15.65% decrease compared to 37.52% in August 2024. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
In other news, the Nigerian Railway Corporation has announced the resumption of train services along the Abuja-Kaduna corridor this week. A statement signed by Callistus Nyimadu, the NRC's Chief Public Relations Officer, indicates that train services will resume on Wednesday, 1st October 2025, following the completion of repairs and safety checks on the affected section of the track at Asham Station. The NRC assures that it prioritizes passenger safety and comfort and regrets the inconvenience caused by the suspension of the train services due to the derailment incidents. Now, 28th September every year is celebrated as World Rabies Day to raise awareness about rabies prevention and control. The theme for this year's celebration is Act Now, You, Me, Community, emphasizing the importance of collective action in eliminating this deadly disease. Rabies claims thousands of lives worldwide each year, with most cases occurring in Africa. And this is why the Nigerian government, through the Federal Ministry of Livestock Development, has declared an all-out war on rabies and pledges to eliminate the disease by 2030.
The time to act is now. Delaying means more lives lost. Lives of our children, farmers, friends, colleagues, and loved ones. The theme, Act Now. The theme urges us, act now. Let us commit to vaccinating every dog, educating every household member, and supporting every victim. Government alone cannot win this battle. It requires you, and you.
World Rabies Day is encouraging pet owners to ensure their dogs and cats are up to date on their rabies vaccinations, participate in local rabies awareness campaigns and education initiatives, while also encouraging policymakers to implement pet licensing and data collection systems to aid disease control. Towards promoting a modern, inclusive and climate-resilient agricultural sector, the federal government and the IFAD-assisted Value Chain Development Program have trained a cross-section of selected youths on farming equipment's fabrication. Mercy Fabii reports that an item of equipment was also distributed to the beneficiaries of the program's Adaptation for Smallholder Agriculture Program grant.
The 45 youths trained as fabricators were drawn from the 9 target local government areas of Niger State under the VCDP Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme. The training seeks to empower the youths with practical skills and also strengthen the agricultural mechanization ecosystem farmers in the rural areas depend on.
We were trained by IFAD in fabricating machines. Each one that have problem, we know how to handle it, that we can repair.
National Program Coordinator, IFAD VCDP, Dr. Fatima Aliu said the Adaptation for Smallholder Agricultural Program grant, ASAP, which focuses on building resilience of farmers to climate shocks, is only implemented in Niger and Kogi states.
We give a lot of equipment, and at the end of the day, for lack of maintenance and spare parts, they abandon those equipment. So in order to tackle that issue, we decided to train some of our youth on equipment fabrications as well as maintenance and operation of those equipment.
Governor Mohamed Umaru Bago was represented by his deputy at the event.
The program has made a significant impact in poverty reduction in this rural area, which has led to accelerated economic growth and sustainable basis through the provision of vital agricultural infrastructure.
Climax of the event was the presentation of starter packs to the youth fabricators and distribution of equipment. In Mina, Mercy Fabi, NTA News.
The Nigeria Police Force National Central Bureau of Interpol has arrested and handed over a notorious Beninois fugitive, Sunday Coutin, to authorities in Benin Republic. Coutin, wanted for armed banditry, arms smuggling, cattle rustling, and drug trafficking, fled to Nigeria after 7 members of his syndicate were arraigned in Benin. Acting on credible intelligence, operatives of the NCB tracked and arrested him in Idiroko, Ogun State, before transferring him to Interpol Cotonou. Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, commends the officers involved, stressing that Nigeria will never be a safe haven for fugitives. He reaffirmed the force's commitment to upholding the rule of law, safeguarding national sovereignty, and strengthening international policing cooperation. Elsewhere, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has successfully thwarted an attempt by suspected suppliers of illicit drugs to terrorists and bandits in Borno State, as well as Yobe State. The operatives of NDLEA discovered and seized illicit drugs concealed in the engine compartment of a Mercedes-Benz Jeep and a lady's traveling bag. Salwa Khalil Ibrahim reports.
In a significant bust, 2 drug kingpins who posed as successful businessmen were arrested after a month of intelligence gathering. They were found with 4.33 kilograms of heroin, 448 grams of cocaine and 2.902 kilograms of methamphetamine prepared for export to Europe and beyond. And from Borno State, NDLEA officers arrested a 26-year-old man at Jimtilo village while he was driving a Mercedes-Benz GLK with 39,380 pills of tramadol, 225 milligrams and Exol 5 concealed in the engine compartment of his car. Similarly, in Yobe State, operatives intercepted a lady along Damaturu Maiduguri Road with 39 parcels of Colorado concealed in her traveling bag. While in Ekiti State, NDLEA officers arrested a 45-year-old ex-convict at his Ikere Ekiti home with 32 kilograms of skunk and 10.5 grams of tramadol. He had previously served a 3-year sentence for drug trafficking in 2016. These successful operations demonstrate NDLEA's commitment to protecting Nigerians from the threats of illicit substances and safeguarding public health and national security. In Abuja, Salwa Khalil Ibrahim, NTA News.
And that concludes the news on NTA International at this time. Many thanks for watching. I am Dennis Adigunloye.